What's up, guys? Ming the Merciless 93 here, and we're back with another PokerVIP.com video. If you were watching the previous ones, well, hopefully you followed it up with this one. We've got Ace-6 of hearts in the big blind. We've defended against a guy raising under the button, or under the gun, not under the button. That'd be funny. He's like, what are you hiding under there? What do you want to stand as little elves? Anyway, we have an ace, and for some reason, he just checks the fuck out. Like, he saw we had an ace, and he just bounced. We didn't have to bet or anything else like that. That's you know, that's like if somebody knocks on your door and hands you a pizza, you didn't even have to order the damn thing. How did that happen? Anyway, we've got ace-4. If the Mancho raises on the button, we're going to fold, and if he folds, we're going to raise. He raises, we fold, self-explanatory. 6-4 offsuit, that's going to be a folding combination. Boy, some of these avatars are really weird looking, you know? I mean, these are pretty stylized cartoons, very strange. And they kind of remind you of people, too. Like, you look at one and you're like, I know that guy from somewhere. I know that motherfucker. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe not. That's how I thought when I saw the Grim Reaper one anyway, at least. Not much activity going on here, folks. The hands we are dealt will be a jack and a 3 offsuit. Put that in the folding range. Fold, 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 fold. We have a min raise. Now, let me tell you this. If you're out of position, you don't really want to be using a min raise strategy, especially against the big blind. Small blind versus big blind is pretty poor. The big blind gets to abuse you. He gets to 3-bet. He gets to flat call efficiently. He's getting a very good price. Just not something that you want to get in the habit of doing. You need fold equity. You have to raise bigger. You got to make it tougher for your opponent to interact. We have ace-7 in the big blind. The offsuit variety. A call on the button. And we've seen this guy fold before, but this isn't a very playable hand, so we're just going to go ahead and check. And with the ace of spades here, I think we'll just go ahead and lead out and probably barrel. He calls, which means he could have pretty much any one of those pairs. He doesn't have as many draws, and it's going to be pretty difficult for him to call 3 streets now with the jack over card, unless he has something like jack-6 suited or 10-jack. So I'm going to go ahead and triple barrel. And we get the fold. That's always nice. Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate that. I love it when we get the fold. And we're going to fold the queen deuce of diamonds. We've got another pair of 10s here. 10 of clubs, 10 of diamonds. Going to raise it up. 3x. Raising it up. We'll see what Barber89 wants to do. They're taking their sweet-ass time either way. We're going to just take that one down. Can't really complain about it. 7-8 offsuit's going to be a folding combination. Not much to do there. Definitely raising it up suited, especially with a player sitting out being 5-handed. We'll raise some more combinations in that case. Mm-hmm. 10-4-3 with 2 spades, board texture, and we'll see what putt call is going to do. Looks like he is going to think for a while, and 50 cents. All right, Barber. Hey, we have aces. We have a pair of aces. Don't tell these motherfuckers. We're going to raise it up with a pair of aces. Ooh. And again, not an amazing board texture, but he's only got $1.34. I kind of assume that he's going to get it in pretty much any turn card. I just kind of want to bet an amount that's going to let him do something dumb. I'm going to bet 30 cents into $1.10. Hopefully we just get to shuffle. He just has like 8x or 9x or some garbage combo, some weird shit. Boy, oh boy, this is weird. Given that we have the ace of spades here, I kind of want to check back, but I kind of want to bet small again. Alright, well, I mean, it's pretty easy for us to just go ahead and call here. He has ace-3, so we did induce a float. And then he got very unlucky. There's the one ace left in the deck that would allow him to continue. Oops. Alright, we're going to go ahead and raise it up with our ace-10. But that's the danger of playing ace-3 offsuit, and that's the danger of floating on the flop just because you're getting a good price. The concept there is that sometimes when you improve your hand, it's still second best. Thus, you might get roasted for $1. I'm going to go buy me some ginger ale. Maybe we'll have enough left for some vanilla flavoring. Probably not. That shit's like $12. Looks like we take it down with our 10-jack offsuit. Folding 8-6 offsuit. We've busted everybody at the table. These whack-a-moles, they're just out the door. In the window, out the door. We are going to raise with king-jack of clubs. Small blind versus big blind. This is a board texture which is going to favor the flat caller, and even though we have 2 overcards and a backdoor flush draw, we shouldn't really expect to get a ton of folds here, and if we're in position, I'm fine betting a bit more frequently in these spots. This is the type of hand I like to use as a delayed double barrel. Out of position, you just have to kind of check fold. Otherwise, you just end up spewing chips. That's one of those spots where like those little fractions of chips kind of add up. We just get smacked around like a bitch when we're betting too much. Queen 8 offsuit in the big blind. Looks like we have another limp. Another limp. We're just going to go ahead and check again. And we will check this particular combo. Might lead the Queen of Spades, or Queen of Hearts rather than the Queen of Spades. When he checks back here, let's just go ahead and bet twice against his check back range with any 2 cards and see how that fares for us. He calls on the turn. The king should be a good card on the river to make him fold. We're just going to bet a nice big healthy 50 cents and hope he doesn't have a really strong hand. And he does fold, so we get that fold. That's tasty. We've got the 9-4 of clubs. We're just going to fold this combination as well. Put it in the laundry pile. It's getting folded. Wait, what is this? A limp? Alright, we're going to limp because we have a suited hand. And we know that Vast Vim does not raise a lot, as I eat my words and subsequently eschew, because he does raise us. So we're just going to get out of here now. This hand makes weak flushes, doesn't have any straight possibilities, and we're just trying to limp in, getting a tasty little 5-to-1 price. But since that was taken away from us, we're just going to get out of dodge. We're now out of position with an unplayable hand and a worse price. We're going to fold the King 3 combination. And Jack 3 suited will be a raise on the button. Definitely going to isolate with the Jack 3 suited versus the limper. Suited Jack on the button. And we get raised by our friend who doesn't ever really raise. It's kind of a weird spot because he's made it less than we've raised. That's right. It's only 35 cents to call now. The other player calls as well, and we have position. So you just take a ride on the Redding in spots like this, more of an implied odds thing. You know, we're getting a very good price. This is not the type of hand you're looking for. Don't get me wrong. You see this flop, and it's just like, well, I have top pair. So let's think about it. We're relying on bluffs to gain equity. Clearly, that's a spot where our opponents are just going to have the better hand pretty much every single time. So we would need them to be bluffing, or probably just some 5-year-old with their parents' laptop or something. And it's probably not likely to be the case. It might be more often the case in the European lands because a lot of American kids just don't have laptops anymore. We're just going to fold the Queen 3 offsuit. We have 2-7 of the heart variety. And I think we're going to go ahead and call in position here. Again, this is one of those spots. Remember what I told you guys. Don't min-raise when you're out of position. We're not super excited about playing 7-deuce, but we do have 2 hearts in our hand. And we've flopped a pair. So that means we're probably going to be calling a 20-cent bet. If they make it bigger than that, we're probably just getting on a dodge because we're not going to play efficiently on turns or rivers given the board texture. We're not really happy if we see an 8, a club, a jack, anything really. But if they bet a quarter pot, I guess we'll call. And the pairing of the top card is actually pretty good for us since our opponent can have a lot of hands like ace-queen. They can have hands like ace-jack. They might still have a really good hand like aces, but it's very likely that when they make that small bet, they just have overcards or they're unsure of what to do with the pair of sixes. We'll just go ahead and check back, and this river should allow them to check down, and we'll be able to win against a number of combos. King Queen gets there if it does exist in their range, the way that they play their hand. But I would assume that they just have a hand like Ace Queen, Ace King, or pocket sixes down. And they have Ace Queen. Tasty. The bet sizing just doesn't suggest that they have anything better than that, and they min-raise pre-flop, which would suggest that they have a stronger hand than average, otherwise they would have limped. Casual players that play straightforwardly allow us these little things. Alright, we're going to go ahead and limp it in with our ace-9. Not a great hand, but we are getting a very good price, so we'll go ahead and see a flop on the cheap. And we completely brick, so we're just going to check and fuck off. Versus a pot-size bet especially, we will relinquish the hand out into the ether. King 5 offsuit on the button's not going to be a hand that we play very frequently, if at all. Alright. We got a 40-cent pot against these two competitors over here on table 2. We got put call and AFA 567. The turn card does connect with a little something here and there. We have a king in our hand, so that's going to make it less likely that someone has something like king 9 or king queen or king jack or king 10. Ace king usually gets 3-bet preflop, so those aren't really in the range. We're going to fold 10-4 offsuit. We're going to raise it up with king jack offsuit. Unless this guy raises, in which case we're just going to fold. This looks like a playable hand, but we don't have the button, and he's made it 4x the big blind. We're not very happy with this. This hand does not play all that well post-flop. You get dominated a lot. You don't have a ton of flexibility. Other players can come in behind you or squeeze. It's just a spot where you're going to end up spewing chips for the most part. Queen 9 offsuit in the big blind is going to be a playable combination. We are going to raise it up when we have a limper. And this is a spot where we can isolate with our king jack offsuit. It is going to be a little bit tastier. And we're just going to go ahead and raise. We're playing heads up now, apparently. So we'll play a little heads up action. We have ace king of diamonds. This is a pretty good hand to be 3-betting with. Our opponent decides to fold. Not much we can do about that. We'll take it down. Pair of sixes. Pair of sixes. I'm just going to go ahead and check here. This board texture does not favor us. We're in a 4-way pot with king jack. Not a lot going on here, really, folks. Not a lot going on. We're going to go ahead and raise with pocket sixes. We hit a king on the turn, though, in this pot, which is pretty nice. I'm not going to lie to you. We're going to go ahead and flat call versus a 3-bet with our sixes and just screw off on that board texture. Not a great spot. We're going to go ahead and bet with our king. Basically, we have a hand that's value bettable. This guy can easily have a lot of ace-king, ace-queen combos. He might have some better pairs. Maybe he has some checks with his jack-x combos, maybe not. I think we can go ahead and bet the turn for protection and just make a small bet of a third pot against a hand like ace-king or ace-queen, just to protect our equity since an 8 or a 9 also counterfeits us. That king is a really bad card in a sense that we'd assume that they have ace-king. So I would assume that he leads this river or he just beats us. And he has the ace-queen portion of his range, as discussed, so we do win. That's pretty nice for us. I like it. I like it. Get a couple of new competitors at the table to keep the table going. That's good. Always nice. We have the 4 of hearts here, which is pretty meh for us. Can't do much with it. We're going to go ahead and fold versus the pot size bet. And we have 3-4 offsuit, so we'll go ahead and fold. Pair of 4s, we are going to be playing this combination. I'm going to raise it up on the button. And And that is going to be a board texture we can still continuation bet with a hand that's not all that great, and we can bluff some on a 2, a 5. You know, not a great board texture for sure, but it's still a spot where betting makes more sense than checking for a pair of 4s. You get to maybe fold them off of a hand like 5s through 8s. You get to fold them off of some suited connectors that have a lot of equity, and when you do get called, you basically just give up. And here I would assume that he has some sort of ace-x combo. He's probably not really leading out there with a queen-x hand, especially when you have a bunch of aces in your range. You know, a little secret, whenever a board texture hits you very well, your opponent is often not going to lead into you or check raise into you when that board smashes your range, unless your opponent knows that he has you beat, or he knows that you know that and you'll overfold. There are a few times when that is relevant, but for the most part, if you have an opponent who's thinking about his hand and he's not really thinking about your hand, he should be scared of a few of the things that are going on the board. So when he isn't, and you know that you have all those types of hands, chances are your opponent is at least comparable in where he's at in his range, and you can play a little bit tighter. We're in a 5-way pot here, but there's 3 clubs, which means we're very likely to get called by a club, raised by an 8, and we just have an open-ended straight draw that's also dominated. Our outs are tainted, the board's paired, so a 9 might give the 8-9s the boat. Just not a great spot. We're just going to end up checking and folding here. Pretty good example of a spot where a draw does not accomplish what you want it to for a number of reasons. It's a very weak draw. And we're just going to go ahead and fold. Our outs are tainted, the board's paired, just a bunch of trash. It's just a bunch of trash. We're going to check the big blind with ace-5 offsuit. Suited, we would certainly raise this one up. And we're just going to check and screw off on this board texture. Not much going on. No way to continue successfully, really. We got the old 5-4 offsuit, which is going to be a folding combination the majority of the time. Might limp it in on occasion. We're going to go ahead and raise it up with the 7-8. So we're going to fold out of that guy. Pretty good for us. And we're going to fold the ace-5 offsuit. I'm not going to be doing much with 9-7 offsuit here either. There's a world where we could isolate with this, but we're just going to pass unless it's a suited combination. A lot of checking going on from these desperados. Double paired board. Somebody value bet for God's sake. Two 9 offsuit down the drain. 8 deuce offsuit also down the drain. Barber 89 is now on this table as well, here to slow things down and muck things up. Sorry, Barber, if you're watching. Maybe put a little pep in your step. You know? Drink some Pepsi or something before you play. I don't know. And we've got the 5-6 offsuit variety. That's going to be another folding combination. Queen 6 offsuit down the drain as well. We have a min raise from put call. And he gets flat called by AFA 567. Barber's here, slowing things down, draining the old time bank. Much of the happiness in the room as well. Gen 519 calls. We have an 8-6-10 board texture. We have a 6, so there's only one combination of pocket 6s, which means there's only 7 combinations of sets left in the deck. There's a lot of other hands that connect with this board texture, so it'll be interesting to see what these people are doing. Put call. What you up to, man? We're going to raise our pocket 8s here, guys. Pocket 8's way too good not to be raising. We are out of position to these two dudes, so you want to raise relatively large, so we're going to 6x it. You get a half pot bet from AFA, put call checks, which means he's probably just check folding some overcards. We do flop a set, and both players are in the hand. It's 2 diamonds on the board, a lot of straight draws. We're just going to go ahead and bet $1.20 and go from there. Well, middle set. They both fold, and that's perfectly fine. We have aces. We are just going to 3x, given that that guy has a short stack, and we'd like to get a little action, because now we do want a little bit of action. We've got aces. We have the ace of spades here. We could put this in the checking range, but since he has so little, we're just going to bet and hope he decides to shovel it in with a pair. And if he has a flush, well, hey, we have the ace of spades, so something dope could happen. A lot of the times this has a lot of pocket pairs here, so you might have something like pocket sevens with a spade and just shovel it on in. It's hard to say what the casual bro is going to do. He makes a call, and when they make the call in this spot, you're kind of hoping for a spade. The turn is not a great card. 7-8 gets there, Queen-Jack gets there, 10-9 gets there, 9s with a spade gets there. It's kind of a rancid spot, to be honest, but he doesn't have that much money left, so we're just going to go ahead and bet and then call since he still has all of his King-X combinations. When that guy 5X's it, we're going to fold King-Jack offsuit on the button. When he calls twice, I mean, he's pretty likely to have a king here. If he had a better hand, there's a pretty good chance he shoves it on the turn. But nonetheless, we still could be beat here some, but it's a value bet. Pretty easy value bet. If he folds, whatever. If he calls, we mostly win. And we're going to fold the old 10-4 offsuit. We are going to raise it up with ace-king. Looks like we're just going to simply take that down. We're going to fold the old 9-6 offsuit on both of these tables since we were lucky enough to be gifted with them at the same damn time. And hey, if our luck continues as well as it's going right now in this session, we're going to buy a pizza after this. Come on, people. I know you can give me another hand. I know you can do it. King 9 of the offsuit variety is going to be a fold. Not much you can do there. We wouldn't have done much with this 6 on this board texture either. 7-9 offsuit going to be a folding combination. Ace-7 of hearts, however, we are going to raise that one up. Good old ace-7 of hearts. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Queen King of the offsuit variety in the big blind. We're going to be playing that hand, probably 3-betting the hell out of it, depending on the action. And it does get limped twice and then raised. We're going to go ahead and 3-bet here just because we'd rather either win the pot now or get it heads up. So we go ahead and re-raise, and it looks like we're going to get 2 callers. And we flop a very poor board texture for us that's going to favor the flat callers. We're just going to fold our deuce six offsuit, and we're just going to check fold with our king queen. This hand did not work out. We didn't win the pot pre-flop. We got a poor flop for us. We do have the queen of spades here, but that's not going to be all that great. I'd assume that Prue is going to shove quite a bit. Just overall, this is not a great board texture, so we're just going to check and screw off. Now, the turn card, 9-10 would have been bet on the flop, so I kind of like our spot now with the queen. We're all going to lose to queen-jack, but for the most part, Levi could have a set. If he leads out, it's a bit scarier, since he could still have a hand like ace-queen here. We are going to go ahead and bet, though. We are going to have to go ahead and bet. We're going to be all in against Prue either way, so we're going to bet. We're going to be committed to that guy either way. Hopefully they just both fold. I don't think that Levi would check a very strong hand on this turn card in, you know, 3-bet pot with all the money out there, like on this board texture. So I kind of feel like we're still the best hand here a lot. I feel like this is a spot where he ends up maybe having ace-queen some, and then maybe he has something like ace-jack or king-jack in this case. I don't think we can get away with a value bet here. I think it's a bit thin. He generally, when he checks, only has hands that are, again, worse, but we don't even know if they're paying us off. Yeah, and he does have the ace-queen that we thought that could be possible in his range. So that's what I say. Like, I don't think there's many hands that are going to call us on the river that would call us on the turn that are worse. If he has a jack, he's probably not calling, and there is a chance that he just has ace-queen. So that didn't work out for us. But that's okay. That's literally the top of his range there. And I would assume that he bets ace-queen on the turn more often than he checks it. In this case, he decided to check it. I don't really like the check. I think it's still a bet. Most of the time, you're just going to allow your opponents to realize equity, and there's two players out there. You definitely want to be betting your ace-queen in that spot. But that's okay. You still have to consider that, you know, you might not necessarily do that. All right. We've got king-jack offsuit, which we will raise if the guy under the gun folds. This is a spot where you don't always have to play this hand. If the table seems like the weather is good, you can play it. If not, you don't have to play it. Definitely it's dominated. It's not all that great. D7 self-explanatory. And king-6 offsuit is going to be a fold. Not much else going on here at the moment, guys. We will continue playing even though we've lost $6. That's okay. We're winning a pizza on the other table. Pair of sixes now on table 2. And I will raise versus the limper. We're going to go ahead and 4x him in position. We have a pair of 10s on table 1. And again, on ace 3-5 with a pair of 6s, we can go ahead and continuation bet. When he leads out into us, I mean, it's a little interesting with a pair of 6s, given that we have the heart and the backdoor straight draw. But your opponent often just leads when he has an ace. We are blocking a lot of the draws that he might have there, like 6-7 or 6-4 or 6x of hearts. So we'll just go ahead and get the hell out of there. Now here we have 90 cents in the pot with Captain Toots. We're definitely going to bet here, both to protect our hand. And I don't know what this means from Captain Toots. I kind of don't want to get rope-a-doped. I think this is basically a hand. We treat this as a check. I mean, he could have a lot of worse pairs than ours. We're going to raise it up with ace-4. Looks like Prue is going to call us, which is not great, given that we have the 10 of spades in our hand. The other dude definitely bounced out of dodge. I'm not super excited about this. 5-6 gets there. 7s gets there. I think we just have to check back. And now with 3, we basically just beat pocket 5s, pocket 6s, pocket 8s, pocket 9s. There's a lot of those combos, but none of them are really going to bet on the river. So when he checks, I think we just check and just basically lose to like Jack 8 or some shit. And he has 8-6 of spades, which is, again, the only combos we're really beating. He's not really going to do much with. That's a spot where he probably should have considered bluffing somewhere or something. It's hard to say. Pretty difficult spot for me on the river if he does bet, especially when we have the 10 of spades. Not that he knows that. Not that he knows that. And we don't know whether he's bluffing with spade combos or not. If your opponent has spade combos in their bluffing range, then you'd rather not have a spade in your hand to call. And if your opponent doesn't have spades in his bluffing range, then you would rather have a spade in your hand to call. You just don't want to block their bluffs when you're bluff catching, because their bluffs are where you get your equity from. Alright guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this part 3. We're going to go ahead and make part 4 just a second here for you. We're going to play this Queen 9 hand first. Playing our Queen 9 hand, and then we're bouncing out. We'll just check this. And we're just going to go ahead and check fold here. Alright guys, I'll see you in a minute.